read all the way to the end because I'm going to give you right at the end. I'm going to do kind of backwards today. It's kind of funny like that. But verse 16, well, let's read it real quick. It says, "This I say then, no, this I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh." My phone's going to go off. I'm going to need to turn it off. Sorry, guys. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit's against the flesh, and these are contrary that one of the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adulterers, fornication, unclean. And I ain't going to be able to say this word, but lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, haters, uh, variance, emulation, wrath, stride, satisfied, man, heresy, envy, murder, darkness. I'm in 21, revealing and such like, of which I tell ye before, as I have also told you in the past, that they that which do these things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peaceful, long suffering, gentleness, godliness, faith, meekness, temperance, and against such there is no law. You notice the God things I can pronunciate really good. It's the sinful ones I cannot pronunciate. That's funny. And verse 24, let's look at 24, 25, and 26. It says, "And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with affliction and lust. If ye live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not desire of vain glory, provoking one another, envy one another." Stopping right there. I'm going to jump to the back. Man, that's going to kill me. Hon, can you turn that off? Sorry. Sorry about that, everybody. My phone, I'm going to use it, but I did not turn the sound off. All right. But if you look at the last couple verses here, it was saying that one is of the Spirit and the other one is self-glorified. We go back to all them verses, right? And right here in verse 25 and 26, it says, "If we live in the Spirit, let us walk in the Spirit. Let us," in verse 26, "let us not be delirious of vain glorious, provoking one another and envy one another." What it's saying that if we love God, we don't need to be hateful to each other. And that's where this is coming in. We got to watch our sinful natures. And that's where we're going to go back and look verse 16 through 24 and show what they're showing us here. Because I always felt, not saying that this is wrong where it's in order, but just the look here, just kind of give you a touch. It's talking about the Spirit, the things of the Spirit, and the things that we got to be careful and watch to one another. And that's where we got to be careful. But if I go back to my notes and start from the beginning, right, it says, if I can get that page turned. All right. It says, we win by walking in the Spirit. Verse 16, if we walk in the Spirit, we're going to win. What a lot of us are not careful of, we don't walk in the Spirit, we walk in like spirit, because if we look at the fruit, and I think Pastor Terry Boer was the first person that ever pointed it out to me. The word fruit is not plural. It was singular. It didn't say fruits, right? But he gave you a long definition of what the fruits, everybody can want to say, are. No, it's fruit. It's one fruit. So what it is, it's saying that we have to be that. Wait a minute. What do you mean we have to be that? We have to be where it said in verse 22, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peaceful, long-suffering, gentleness, meekness. But it didn't say any of them other ones were non-plural. So basically, you could take one of them sinful things and put them into the fruit, and guess what? You messed everything up. right? One thing, right? And you go, well, what do you mean by that? When we walk in the spirit, we do not fulfill our own desires we of the flesh, because that's where we got to be careful. Because I'll be honest with you, right? When I get pizza, my wife's like 2 slices, and I'm like, no, 4, right? Because I love my flesh. I want to my flesh, because it's like this, and my wife will tell you, you guys will know it. She has a favorite restaurant. It's not mine. So when we go out to eat, we're like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't want to go to Pandora Bread. Yeah, that place. Right? I cannot, to me, it's all healthy stuff. I'm not healthy. I mean, I like a cheeseburger. They got like pizza. She bought me a pizza from there, and it was so disgusting. I think I ate 1 slice of that. She eliminated me the slices. That's the way to do it. But we compromise. But what do we want to please our flesh, right? And a lot of us do it in different ways, right? I like to pleasure myself with food. I'm a food eater. Other people might do it in entertainment. Other people might do it in helping others. My wife, a lot of her enjoyment is watching the joy of others. She loves helping people out, right? She goes out of her way. I always tell her, I said, the only way I'm going to get attention if I just say, I can't do it no more. I need your help. I broke my leg. Come and help me. She knows I didn't, but that's every time I'm sick, she's right there on the spot. She loves to help. Right. So I got to get sick to get her attention sometimes. Like, oh, babe, I'm sick. I need soup. Right? And Rich is like that too, right? Yeah. We want that. We're trying to get that attention to ourselves. We want that lusters of the flesh, right? Not that I try not to do that to her, right? Because she's first one quick on a thing. Anybody, my kids, my grandkids, me, if we ever threw up, before we even got done finishing, she's always got a towel there for you to wipe your mouth and a bottle of water to wash out your mouth. It's almost like the spot. It's like, where did you come from? Right? And she's like, well, yeah, I mean, I know you got a bad taste in your mouth. Right? But she's not allowed to come down sick because I got no clue what to do. I know that towel and water is a great thing, but I don't think of that. I'm like, you okay? Can you get me some water? Oh, yeah, let me do that. I mean, I don't think of that. But that's where her love for others is there. And that's where, if she didn't have others to help, I don't know what she would do. I mean, because she wouldn't be able to feel that desire. I know that's one of her desires. Other desires, everything to be in order. Right? If you ever seen, like, she can't stand when there's them little things at the door. She hates that. That just drives her nuts. She's like, I gotta get it. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Nobody cares. Right? She's like, I do. She's got to have neatness. And when things are out of order, she knows it. You can go to the classroom and move one thing. I guarantee you next week, she's like, who moved that? She'll know. Right? Because I do it at home all the time. Right? And she but let her move something of mine and she got no clue where she put it. I love you, babe, but don't touch my stuff. No, all right? But I have no organ. She'll tell you I have a messy organization. But you can ask me where my stuff is, and I know where it's at. Yeah, she's like, I don't know how you do it. Because I know where my belt is, my hat is, my shoes, and my shoes are right there under the coffee table. Right? My coat is hanging. Yeah, it's like I'm all over the house, but I know where they're all at. She can't find her shoes in the morning if she don't put them where she normally puts them. I can find everything. I'm good like that, but I love you, babe. I'm not trying to pick on you. But if you looked at, I'm gonna go through verse 17. It says the flesh and the spirit opposes each other, right? We don't have to try to sin. It just comes naturally. Right? What it is, and that's where we looked at the beginning, where Paul was saying it. If we try to fill all the laws and make Christianity about laws, we're going to fail. We can't succeed. There's only one person that could get us through, is the Holy Spirit. We got to use God, walk with God. Because this is the thing. If I ever try to be Russ's friend, and Russ don't want to be my friend, I couldn't be Russ's friend, because he wouldn't walk with me. We can't say, okay, God, I want you to walk with me, but I really don't want you with me because I don't want you. What it is our desire. When we start looking at our own fleshly desires, we're walking away from God and we don't even realize it. And that's where it says it here. It says, for the lust of the flesh against the spirit's against the flesh. And these days contradict, one another to the other, so that we cannot do the things of that ye would. So, if we're sinning, we're not doing godly things. Here's something I wrote down, and here's a crazy thing to think about. God might tell me, Joe, I need you to go be a pastor at another church. All right. God told me that. Also, I start looking at other churches and my stomach feels weak. I feel sick. And I'm like, God, I can't do this. You told me to do this, but why am I feeling this way? And God goes, nope, go build that church. And I'm like, all right. And then I'm still feeling that way. And I just deeply get into a prayer with God. I'm like, God, I need you. I want you to come down and talk to me. And God goes, what are you doing? You need to shut that down real quick. I want you on Mountaintop Baptist Church. And I'm like, but what was, and he goes, my enemy has learned how to mimic my voice. When Satan can't get a hold of you doing bad, he'll get a hold of you doing good. And we don't realize that Satan is really tricky on that. I've been in that, right? Satan wanted me to go into another ministry before I came here. I really think if I would have ended up there, something bad would have happened with me and my wife there. We would have been in a bad situation. I know you guys heard we're live, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But a bad situation with a good job, a good situation, but it would have just been bad at that point in time. I'm glad I didn't go that way. I'm glad the Lord led me here, but that's where I heard God's voice. Because here's the thing, and I know we all done this before, and I think Rich might have done it, or Brittany might have done it. You guys might have done it. You call my house, and one of my boys answers, and you go, Joe? And they're like, and Joey's like, yeah. And he's like, it sounds like you, but a little weird. Right? He thought it was my voice, but it was my son's voice. And see, it wasn't me, but if we talked all the time, you probably been like, if Angie and Becky answers the phone, I know the difference of their voice because I hear it all the time. But if you don't know, you might hear Becky's voice and go, Angie? And Angie, Becky be like, no, this is Becky. And you're like, oh, I thought this was Angie. Because have you ever done the one I done? I called up a cousin. Say, hey, Susie, I'm trying to, and she goes, you're talking to the wrong person. I'm like, it says Susie. My dyslexia and everything. It was Susan Peterson from church. It wasn't my cousin Susie. Because she was like, it's not me, Joe. And I was like, you're my family member. Don't you know who I am? She's like, I know who you are, but we're from church. We're not family. And I'm like, oh, I was trying to get a hold of my cousin Susie. When I looked at it, it said Susan, but it's Susie. It was Susan. Yeah. Close enough, right? But I was like embarrassed. That Sunday, I tried to dodge her and she laughed at me, right? And I was like, felt that big. But that's where, and that conversation was as soon as she picked up, hey, Susie, I just want to talk to you about, and she's like, Joe, slow down, stop. Who are you trying to call? You. No, you're not. And see, a lot of times we get like that. God speaks something and we're like, oh, that's a good thing. Let's go with it. And we didn't listen to the voice. We didn't stay on the line long enough. We didn't get all the details because it was Satan going, yeah, go for it. Because I talked to a preacher, Mr. Burt, for years. I worked at a church. I was a janitor. Nothing wrong with being a janitor at a church. Somebody's got to do it. Right? I loved the job. It was a great job. I ain't paid for my kids to go to school there. And I said, Mr. Burt, I'm at a Christian school. I get to preach chapel every so often. I'm doing Sunday school for what, fourth and fifth graders, somewhere around that age group, right? As I'm on the bus ministry, I get to see my kids at school every day. This is a great job, but God is calling me to get my degree. And I think the year before that, or that year, me and Auntie went to the Bahamas on a missionary trip. Not Nassau, where all the glorious places, in these places where there's only one store on the island, and one vehicle drives down the street, and everybody jumps on that one vehicle. I mean, we literally started out from the house to the church was like what, maybe 10 miles away. Might not have been that long. Felt like, because we always stopped, and we had 2 seats left open. By the time we got to the church, everybody was sitting in everybody's lap, right? And there was people on the outside holding on, right? That's how many people kept getting on this van, right? Pastor kept stopping, picking up another person, stopping, picking up another person, stopping, picking up 3 more people, right? And I'm like, man. But we went there, and I was like, I feel like the Lord called me on mission field. And I said, but you ever heard me speak English? Imagine me speaking Spanish. I mean, I can't roll an R if you pay me. Or I mean, I can't do all that. I mean, I can't say certain Spanish words. I can't say certain American words because of my speech impediment. So I was like, God, if you send me on a mission field, it's got to be American speaking or English speaking language. And the Bahamas, they speak English. There's a couple of other places that speak English. And I'm like, maybe that's where God's calling me. And so I prayed about it, and I said, well, what if he's calling me to build churches in America? Because we always send these missionaries out, but we never said. That's why I love Brother Eastridge trying to keep churches here open. I mean, churches just closed down, and it's amazing. I heard a stat this year, and it blew my mind away, or it was maybe last year's stats, but it was like, this is the least amount of churches, Christian churches, that have closed, and more what are they called, Muslim mosques or whatever they're called, have closed down in America this year. So it flipped. It was more them opening, and more this year it's the opposite. And I'm like, hey, thank the Lord, because we're getting in some dark days here coming up. So that's where my brain of thought went. Yeah, all right. Yeah, and I asked Mr. Burke, what should I do? Because all of them are good things. I mean, did I name one bad thing? No, they're all great things. What if God called me to preach here, preach there, or stay? And I asked Mr. Burke, and he said, well, pray God to fire you. I'm like, I don't want to be fired from my job. Why get fired from? He's like, well, then it's God telling you to leave. If he don't fire you, then you stay. And I'm like, I don't know. And I did pray, and God did move me, and I didn't want to move that way, but I did. And then I made a move on my own, and because when I quit, I did make a godly move. But when I went somewhere, I didn't make a godly move. I made a financial move, and that hurt me. And after that, I just wanted to get out of the whole situation. I prayed, and I felt like God was calling me to Tennessee. I asked my family, and I think God did it in a way that eased my pain, because I'll be honest with you, it sounded like later, none of my kids wanted to come or know my wife. But when I asked them, they all said they will because of me, because they knew I was the leader of the house, and they did it because of me. And that blew me away when I found out about that, because everybody told me they wanted to come. I'm like, y'all didn't want, why didn't you tell me? Because we love you, and you're the man of the house, and we followed you. And so I think that if they all look back, they all be grateful that we left. It was a blessing. It helped us grow more as Christians, as a family. One of the things was, we lived in Cleveland, and we came all the way out to Chattanooga to church. You're talking about keeping teenagers in a car for over 30 minutes, 2 ways, every Wednesday, every Sunday. That's 30 minutes. I got to talk to my daughter, talk to my son, right? And my sons, both of them, all the way to church and from church, right? That's time that it was precious, We didn't bash, we didn't do basting, feeding of the preacher. We didn't do that. We just talked about any old thing. Now, once in a while, they got on the phones and they listened to music. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of times we just talked about how school going, things like that. That was God using little things like that to help me in my life. But what we got to be careful is when when Satan mimics his voice, make sure we're not doing good for flesh pleasures. Because a lot of times we'll change a job because there's more money there. That's a flesh reaction. Make sure, because I know every one of us could probably think the job you're doing, the exact job you're doing, if you were in another church, I don't want to say church, another company just like yours, could be down the street, city over, you might be happier. But there's one that you get there and you're like, nope, I would quit in 5 minutes. I would make it there. I hate it there. I would not make it there. Because there's places that you know how evil it is there. The people there are evil. And that's where we got to be careful. Yeah, might pay you $2 more, but is it worth destroying your relationship with God, destroying your relationship with your wife, your kids, your family? I mean, it will happen. A job can destroy you quickly. You know why? Because it'll take your soul, chew it up, and spit it out. You don't realize how much of a job. Mueller, my wife will tell you, Mueller was that for me when I worked there at one time. At the end, it got better, but it was so bad. I hated that job. I wanted a different job, but I was staying there because of the money. And I prayed to God. I said, if you don't want me here, get me out of here. And he never did. I think he wanted me there for a reason. I don't know. I hated it. But when he opened that door for me to get out, I jumped. I mean, he only opened a crack. I flew through that crack. I mean, this fat body flew through that crack. I was like, what do you call a mouse? How they just curve their bones and I squeezed through that crack. I was ready to go. I mean, I did not blink one eye when he let me go out of that place. I don't know why he let me out, but I was happy because I was not happy being there. My wife knew it, but I did it for years because I felt like God kept telling me to be there. Now, don't get me wrong. If I wasn't careful, it could have been Satan. Oh, stay one more day. Stay one more day. Stay one more day. And mimicking God's voice. And it could have been that. But it was just, I had the peace of being there. I just didn't have the comfort of wanting to be there because I didn't like the job. I'm not a warehouse person. I'm just not. That's not something I wanted to do the rest of my life. Right? And God finally said, okay, you're good. I want you to come on out. And I did. But the Holy Spirit and the desires of the flesh opposes each other. Here's the thing. If the Spirit leads us, we're not under the law. In verse 18, it even says, right, be ye led of the Spirit, you are not under the law. In verse 18, what it's saying is, if God leads us, we don't have to abide by the law. Don't mean we get to go out there and do whatever we want and we can sin, we can do all the thing. We are led of the Spirit. God will lead us the way we need to go. That's where, if we know what God is leading us, we will have no problems of doing what's right when it's called upon us. Because I'll admit, right? My wife will tell you, this morning I woke up and I was like, man, be nice to roll back in the bed again and go to sleep. Right? And I was like, no, I'm up. Don't lay down, because if you lay down now, you won't get up. And that's at 5:30 in the morning. Right? I ain't gotta leave until what? We leave at 9. I ain't gotta leave until 9. But I was up at 5:30. And if I would have rolled over and went back to sleep at 5:30, she would have probably woke me up at 8 to get ready. But it's easy even for me every morning to go, do I really want to get up out of bed and go to church, serve God? Do I want to get up 20 minutes early to go look at my Bible, look at my notes, make sure I got everything together, get my head cleared, right? Or do I just want to climb back into bed and go back to sleep? I know Pastor's probably the same way this morning, right? He might have woke up probably 2 hours early too, because when you got to preach and everything, you want to make sure you know what you're saying, right? But it's just so easy to go, I got my notes. My notes will get me through this. I don't have to study. I got it. I'm good. I'm going to go back to bed. Right? But your brain don't shut off like that. If God tells me to get up, I wish I could get up or don't have to get up and go back to sleep. I can't shut it off like that. My wife would tell you, what was it? Friday night. She went to a ladies' conference that was a couple of ladies at a job paid for her to go, and she went. And when she was there, she didn't get home till what 9 o'clock or 8:30. I was already in bed asleep. I went to bed at 6 o'clock that night. Right? And you're like, why? She wasn't there. I didn't want to watch TV. I was just zoned. Right? But what time was I up that morning? 1:30. I was up at 1:30 until 4 o'clock. Then I finally fell back to sleep for a little bit. But that's my brain, you know. I mean, I could have tried to fight to stay up later to sleep later, but it didn't work for me. But uh verse 19, right? Here's some of the things. It's the work of the flesh, right? The first one, right? The first couple that they talk about is sexual, right? That's the craziest part because what gets most people in trouble is our eyes and what we want to put in our brains. Because, like adultery, it's because you first probably started lusting after something, looking at something that we shouldn't be. Because I always say it like this, and my wife knows, right? I don't like to go sit somewhere. I done it a couple times when I was younger, but I always felt weird because I was always by myself when I went. Is you know how they have the football packages and you watch any football team play? Well, Minnesota never plays on TV. So I used to go to like these sports bars, right? And just drink soda and have French fries, right? Because that's the cheapest thing you can buy, and they don't let you sit there for free. So I buy me a soda and some French fries, and I watch Minnesota play on TV. And I stopped going because I was like, there were mostly men. I'd say 90% of them were men, and the women that came with other men and everything. But I'm like, I got to be careful because what if a woman keeps seeing me there by myself? Because my wife didn't care for football. She likes going to sporting event. She just don't want to watch them on TV, right? But she was like, "Yeah, you go ahead." And I went and I watched the game. But I'm like, I got to be careful because I was putting myself in a situation that I wasn't with my wife and let myself vulnerable to somebody walk in and start talking to me. And you're like, oh, that can't happen. Yeah, the lady could have came over or a guy could have came over, right? And started talking to me about sports. And I love sports. So, hey, yeah, you like Minnesota? Yeah, I'm a big Viking fan. Start talking to me about the Vikings. And we're in deep conversation, right? And then the friendship grows and it becomes something else. We got to be careful of that because adultery is an easy one to fall into. Most like if you go to a bar and sit at bars, right? I mean, me and my wife, we like Applebee's. I know it's a bar. They got a little bar up there. We eat regular food and everything there, right? But you see couples up there and you're like, I thought that guy was with another woman last night, right? Or that woman's got a husband, and they go to these bars, right? And I'm like, man, I never thought about going to a bar to pick up a woman, but people think. Then fornication. Fornication is pretty much another just a sexual means, and it says it's a sexual relationship, but we know what it is. And then the next one's unclean, moral, impure thoughts, words, and actions, and that's where I think uncleanliness leads to the other ones, right? But because a lot of times we'll see something and it'll get you in trouble. We got to watch what we see. Then the next one is religious sins, right? Idolatry, worship of false gods, witchcraft, right? We all know that. That just playing with evil, sinful things there. And then the next bunch of them are social sins. These are just haters. The Man, there's a bunch of them up there. Murderers, envy, heresy, strife. I mean, these are all just more social sins that we have that we get to people, right? And then the next one is recreational sin, like darkness. And that just and then uh revealing the REVELINGS. revelings is a sinful act that occurs while drunk or celebrating. So you got to be careful of getting drunk or celebrations. I mean, people go to celebrations, go to 4th of July, uh, what that Mardi Gras people go to, things, what is that other thing they do in spring break, right? Things, I hear people lose their lives down there. People end up pregnant and don't even know the daddies, never met the daddy except that one night and end up pregnant. Got a kid, no, he never knew the daddy, right? And then here's the craziest part, right? The fruits. Let's go with the fruits real quick, right? And that's where I think I preached on this, so I'm not going to I'll hit most of them, but we know it's love. Love is an easy one. Joy, right? A lot of time, and I know I talked about me. I've lost my joy before. I've even told people, I said, I've lost my joy. You go, what do you mean? You ever go to church and just because you had to go to church because it's required of you, right? Be somewhere because you had to be. Oh, the granddaughters are having a birthday party. All right. Right? My wife will tell you there was a time, and this wasn't even too long ago, about 2 years ago, maybe. She was going babysitting the granddaughters every Saturday. Where would I be? At home. All right, go ahead. Right? I didn't have the joy to go see my grandkids. Right? And then I sat down one day and I said, I don't have the joy because I'm just self-moping. It's myself. And I told her, I said, this Saturday, I'm going with you. And ever since, we've gone together, right? And don't get me wrong, I've had other obligations and I missed a Saturday. There's been Saturday she's missed and I had the girls by myself. It ain't like we've been perfect there, but I lost my joy with my own grandkids. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be around nobody. I wanted to be at home by myself. She'll tell you when she catches me staying at home too much, she'll say something to me because she's like, you're just moping again. You need to be careful because the joy, it's easy to get that way. It's easy to get that way. You don't realize how easy it is to lose your joy. Peace. That's a lot, just letting it come over you. When I got my joy back, my peace came back. A lot of times, if you lose one, you lose them all, right? The peace came over me. The fun of being with my grandkids again. Long suffering. That's one I don't like. I don't like to be long suffering. I hate that, right? And then gentleness. I'm a rough brute. I'm trying to get better with that one too. Goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance. Right? All these are the fruit, not fruits. You can't have one. Got to have them all to get the fruit. And that's where I always think about, what if you had an apple that didn't have no seeds? Well, once you ate that apple, you wouldn't have no more apples because they had no seeds. You lose the fruit. What if you had a banana that didn't have a peel? It'd probably rot real quick and become gross, right? You got to have it all to have the fruit, right? It's just that one fruit. You can't have you can't have the tree or the fruit without the tree, without the roots, without the water, without the sun. You got to have it all to get the fruit. That's the same thing here. You got to have it all to get the fruit, right? And that's where I was just talking to you at the end, where if we walk with the steps of the Spirit, God will be with us and we won't walk away. But if we self-glory and we walk in the flesh, right, we're going to get ourselves in trouble. So let us, we're past time. I guess you ain't up there. It's up there. So we're past time. I'll pray, and then we'll start chapter 6. I think we only got 2 or 3 lessons left. So we're getting close to the end. Only a year and a half for